What if you could create more kindness in the world just by being you? Everyone has the potential to create and receive more kindness. What if kindness is more than being nice and compassionate to others? Have you ever considered what having more kindness for you could create in your life? Get ready to learn how the energy of kindness is integral to reducing stress in your life and how it can assist in healing your body. Now, here is the host of Cultivating Kindness with Karen, facilitator of healing, Karen Leslie.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Cultivating Kindness with Karen. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. There is a wonderful energy floating around me today. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward, actually, to seeing what it's going to contribute to you and to myself and to those of you who will watch on the replay. And thank you so much, really, for those of you who show up every week and listen to the show live, and for those that come into the chat room as well. That's so much fun when you do that. And then those who remember to go and look for the replays or stumble across the replay, however it might work for you when you're searching out different podcasts that you like to listen to. And then there's the TV episodes as well. So, if you've got access to viewing the show, through Apple TV or whatever it might be for you, I know there's a number of different ways to do that. Well, then that's really awesome too. And how much fun is it to actually watch and see things live? I try to catch things live as often as I can, mostly because I have trouble personally getting back and catching replays. So I know if I make the commitment to listen to something, or I prefer to actually watch it if I can, to watch something live, then it reinforces that consistency, and it reinforces my commitment to myself, to be honest. I recognize sometimes that when I say, oh, I'll get to it later, I'll listen to the replay, I am not as, what's the word I want? Diligent, maybe, in getting to it, in supporting myself that same way. So I've got a little bit of a imbalance, I guess you could say, in how I commit to listening to things that are important to me. So kind of a long way of saying thank you, however it is that you have found Cultivating Kindness with Karen, however it has been for you and what it's offered you. I just want to, again, thank you for showing up week after week, month after month. It's wonderful. And the Inspired Choices Network, as you all know, has so many great hosts. So you can find information and shows on so many different topics, which I love about this network. I love its diversity and the diversity in the different hosts and who's here. So these are all the things I love. Maybe today we might talk about some of the things that I don't love quite as much. We're talking about the gift in resistance today. And just the word resistance, when I say it, I feel it in my chest a little bit, like the gift in resistance. And I can, even when I say the word resistance, I feel myself dropping down when I just say the title. So there's something here that's going to come out. We'll find out together. How is it for you when you say the word resistance? Like if you were to say it right now, either silently or out loud, wherever you are, how do you feel? Does it lift you up? Does it feel kind of a little bit like I'm describing? Or is it neutral? Like maybe there's nothing there for you, But we will all have our own personal experience with this word. And I'm going to share a few of my own as we go through the show and give you some different examples as to why we may be choosing to be in the energy of resistance, what that gift could look like for each of us. And is it a gift you wish to have? Because sometimes it may be, and other times it may not be the gift you would think you would get. So in the notes, when we're promoting the show, I talked about, that people say often, there's always a gift in resistance. And I'm sure that many of you have heard that before. It's a pretty popular saying or way of phrasing things. I'm wondering, though, is that always true? Is there always a gift? What do you think? And maybe what you receive from resistance, maybe it's just that it doesn't look like or feel like a gift to you. So we're going to unpack that a little bit and see if we can actually find out if there really is a gift all the time. And if there is, what can we do with it? Is it a gift that maybe you want to return or re-gift? Or is it one that you want to keep? Right? So I've got a comment in our chat. I don't know yet, but I'm sure I'll understand the gift by the end of the show. I'm hoping so. That's the plan for sure. So let's look into this now. Resistance. The word itself, as I was just saying, it has a little bit of a heaviness for me. And, the meaning of resistance or to resist something, I mean, sometimes it can be like to stand your ground, hold something off. It can also have that energy of like military or force with it as well. So that could be why it may feel not as light or as comfortable for you. There's this real boundary placing when we talk about the word resistance. Those can be boundaries that you put in place, and it can be boundaries that are put in place for you by another person. And perhaps you're resisting the boundaries that have been put there, and they weren't there not by your own choice. So there's so many different ways that we can look at this. And I hope to get to all of them, or at least most of them, before we come to the end of the show. So I feel like I have been the queen of resistance for a long, long time. I am currently in the position of recognizing how I have been resisting something for the last few weeks. And I was saying to Sarah, who's my producer, who's with me here today, saying, I kind of wish I'd done this show 2 weeks ago, so I could have got past this and be a little farther ahead on a project that I'm working on. But, timing is always correct. And it is just our point of view that would have me think that the timing was incorrect right now. So what am I resisting? You want to know? I'm pretty excited about it, actually. I was going to say this at the end of the show, but it's okay. I'll bring it up now. On Thursday, May 9th, which is a week tomorrow for those who are listening live, Thursday, May 9th, 2024, I'm speaking on a summit. I am so excited about it. And some of you know I've spoken on a number of summits in the past, and they really have been a lot of fun. But this one is called Sparks of Hope, Shooting for Success. And those two words, hope and success, they have very different energy than the word resistance. Let's just put it that way. But what am I resisting? I am resisting what my VIP offer is for those of you who are going to come and join, in that I'm excited about how I'm putting together this gift for you, this offer for you. And that excitement and wanting it to show up in a certain way has led me to be in resistance. So even though our intentions for something can be really positive, very exciting, we see the long-term benefits of it, and yet we're not acting on it. Now, some of you might say, oh, but Karen, you're probably just procrastinating. And I get a very strong no in that. There is a difference between procrastinating and resistance. I'm not going to be able to probably get into it too much here today. I could maybe do a whole show on that actually. But this truly is the energy of resistance, and it is resistance from the perspective of how I want it to look in its final form and how I see it in its current form. So there's a level, a space of resistance here to me being able to look underneath and see what is this gap and what is this gap telling me. I just gave you a big clue on what we're going to be talking about. Did you catch it? I'm not putting off doing this because I don't want to do it. That can be more the procrastination side of it too. And resistance can be putting off something because we don't wish to do it as well. But resistance brings in another element from my perspective in how this energy feels and my experience in working with it. So when I say I've had years and years of experience with resistance, yeah, decades of it. I have even had very successful results by physically manifesting difficulties in my body as a way of resisting something. You see, we can be very, very brilliant. However, the word brilliant sometimes has a different definition. But my ability to manifest things and have things come and develop in my body as a response to how I'm thinking about something and how I'm resisting something has resulted in a physical condition at times for me. And then I've created this sort of sociably acceptable reason, justification, explanation as to why I'm not doing something, when the actual truth is I'm resisting it. I am not willing to move towards it, or I'm not willing to have it come closer to me. So I've created a body at times, not so much anymore, but I've created a body that gave me support in that whole area. It's really quite brilliant. It really is. I mean, what our thoughts can do and how they can manifest in the physical body is astounding at times, absolutely astounding. And it's very real. And often we don't even recognize what we're doing or what we've done because it's automatic. It's part of our programming. It's just, if you think back, you can think of maybe times where you might have done something similar or exactly the same. However, how you chose to look at it may have been just coincidence or just a set of circumstances. I was out somewhere and I caught a cold, or you fell, ended up with a bit of an injury, so you couldn't do something that you were actually resisting being, confident in doing or wishing to do. But when you really break it down and you look at it, and if you were to actually take pen and paper and think back and ask that part of your mind that holds all these memories to show you when you've done this, you could be very, very surprised as to how often you've done this and really how brilliant you have been in manifesting this. Now, the question is, do you want to continue that? Understanding the gift in all of this will hopefully help you understand if you want to continue with these patterns or work with these gifts so that you can maybe create a new pattern, create a new way of being. I will tell you that it's not very often that these gifts, when they arrive, are in a lovely box with very pretty paper on it and a lovely bow on top, where you can just simply pull the ribbon, take the lid off, and see your gift inside. These gifts require a little more effort on your part, a little more effort on my part, but it's worth it. Maybe you could look at it as being a box that has multiple layers of wrapping paper on it. And like somebody in my family used to do, use a whole bunch of Scotch tape to really make sure everything stayed in place. So there's lots of tape to go through. And maybe there's all different kinds of ribbons, and they're very, very pretty, but there's so many. You could choose to take it off one piece at a time, one little piece of Scotch tape at a time, sellotape, or wherever you are in the world, however you describe it. Or maybe you could get scissors and just cut through it. They're all choices, all different ways of looking at the exact same thing. And it's up to you. It's up to me. But knowing there's something in that box for you, most likely, it will keep you going so that you can keep taking off the layers, because you know inside that there is a gift that's meant just for you. It's personalized just for you. So we're going to go for a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this very personalized gift that's been put together just for you, how to unwrap it, how to see what it is, and then even if it's a surprise, how you can work with it and how it can be something that you can cherish, that you can value, and that you can use to change something as well. Alrighty, we are at this time where I need to stop talking. You can do a little listening to the commercials for a bit, and then when we return, we're going to continue to talk about this and look at how it really is not a help to maintain this whole concept of resisting something. Right. We'll be back just in a couple of minutes, everyone. Don't go away. Thank you for being here with me on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. I am Karen Leslie, your host for the next little while here, and every week I so enjoy sharing this time with you. All right, we'll be right back, everyone.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. Did you resist coming back? I sure hope not. So this whole idea of resistance, I think we do it. I think most people are in that energy of resistance a lot more than you're probably aware of. A lot of our resistance is really part of being on autopilot. It's part of that unconscious way of just getting through our day, of those regular thoughts just flowing through our mind. And we get to that space with it because it's so common in our life. So if you are naturally resistant to a certain way of thinking, a certain point of view that's out in the world, and there's a lot of topics that can be very polarizing, like really polarizing. Okay, the one that just pops into my head, and maybe, yeah, I think it's probably everywhere around the world. I was going to be more specific, but I'm not going to. It can be gun control, pro having guns and, pro not letting anybody have guns. So when we become very polarized and very strong in our belief on something, then we can be in resistance to somebody else's belief. So that's one way that we can look at resistance. When we do that, we close ourselves off, and we are often, most often, unwilling to hear somebody else's point of view, or why they are so steadfast on the opposite side of this one issue. That is one way resistance can become autopilot. You take such a stance with something that you refuse to acknowledge that there's something else there. Every coin's got two sides. You know this. You may not agree with the other side, but it doesn't mean that you can't allow yourself to be aware of the other side. When we build our awareness around something, we allow ourselves to expand our perception on it, our understanding about it. And in doing that, we can actually, I don't want to say have less resistance, but we can have less firmness in our absolute thinking that we cannot see something from a different perspective. Like that's just not an option. Anytime there's not an option on something, we have closed something off. And resistance does this to us all the time. Now you can have resistance to things that are, on a much less divisive state or way of looking at something. It can be on very little everyday things. You could be somebody that absolutely loves putting pepper on your food, and somebody that just like, oh, I do not like pepper. I can't figure out why anyone uses it. I won't even buy it and have it in my house. That's just another example of really resisting something. Now, why do we resist so many things or anything at all? It really comes down to other feelings that are below it that we're often not willing to acknowledge. Often it's things like anxiety, stress, anger, numbness. You probably weren't expecting that one. And more. But when these other feelings and emotions are there, then that allows us in our way of thinking and acting to move into resistance. And we can allow ourselves to hide those emotions that are underneath it by just knowing you're resisting something. That's just not meant for me. Why? And I know that's not a great question. You know that too. But what is it that has you say that that's just not meant for me, and so you resist it without understanding what's holding that in place? It is a plus to understand that you are resisting something. It is always a good thing to recognize when you are in the energy of resistance. Always. Now, you want to get more of a gold star instead of just like a nice red check mark on it? Go deeper. So yes, you recognize you're in resistance. Now look underneath what that is. Could it be one of the things I just said? Fear, stress, anxiety, or are you just numbing out? because there's information in that as well. We can also find ourselves being very easily distracted by what's going on around us. That can be another way resistance is presenting itself to you. You are avoiding something, so you allow yourself to be very distracted so that you don't even have to look in the direction of what it is you're resisting. Again, what is holding that in place? What is it about what you're resisting that you really feel that you need to avoid it completely and allowing the distractions to come in? Going into the autopilot way of being, just allowing the subconscious mind to take over and just do. And so consciously, you can kind of just check out. Right off the bat, I want to say that is a scenario where you need to be very careful, because this is the energy where accidents can happen very easily. Whether you're just, hopefully just a slight cut on your finger as you're preparing food, or not watching your footing and you slip, and fall, or, don't see a curb when you're walking outside and then go down and tumble, right? When you're in that space, then you open yourself up to accidents. And I don't want that for any of you. So please be aware of that and do your best to not go into that space. And if you do experience an accident of some kind, hopefully you'll remember this conversation that we're having right now, and you can ask yourself a question. Okay, so what was I just thinking? Or how was I distracted right now that I didn't see this coming? That I wasn't aware that this could happen? Slight detour there, but an important distinction. I mentioned a little bit ago, well, that's just not for me. It's a phrase that we will use a lot. I hear it a whole lot. That just doesn't feel good. Like when I was saying resistance at the beginning of the show, how it felt kind of heavy, I could sort of feel it in my chest. Well, sometimes when people get this sense of an activity or a person or something, and it doesn't feel very comfortable, it doesn't feel light and inviting, they can say, oh, well, that feels heavy, so that's not for me. Is that just a learned behavior and programming that you've adopted? Or is this a way that you are saying something that the population in general buys into, so it's sociably acceptable, and it gets you off the hook? You don't have to look at it any deeper. You don't have to explain it to anybody. Just, oh yeah, that just doesn't feel good. Guess what? There's still a gift there for you. It might be actually a really big one, especially if you use this way of thinking and justifying on a regular basis, then chances are good there's something really good underneath that for you. There really is. I am not a big fan of just saying, oh, that just doesn't feel good, and then you walk away. It doesn't feel good for a reason. So give yourself the gift of knowing what that reason is. And what can that be showing you? Doesn't mean you still are, that you'll end up doing it, but you will have understanding about yourself that you have been ignoring perhaps for years and years and years. Anything that's heavy, no, that's not okay. I only go and do things that feel light and positive. Well, those are wonderful. But what are you resisting? Okay. This sets up a pattern of thinking in our mind, because when we recognize something and we talk about it in that way, it automatically brings in emotions. And those emotions, they're the critical aspect of what's going on, that brings it down into your subconscious. And then it just leads the way. What have you been telling yourself? That you have been unwilling to see what's underneath. What are you resisting? It all comes down back to you, back to me. Has nothing to do with the outer world. We might think it does. We've justified it as saying so. We've heard things, we've read stuff, but it all comes back down to what's inside ourself. So we're going to look at that when we come back after this break. Thank you for being here with me on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. You know, you can always get in touch with me by sending me an email if you like. Karen@KarenLeslie.ca, and Leslie is Leslie. So please send me an email. I would love feedback from you on the shows. I'd like to hear things that you enjoy. Maybe there's certain aspects that you're not too keen on. I'm also happy to hear that as well. And for those of you who are enjoying them, please like them, love them, share them, send them to someone that you think that they may be helpful to. And the more we share the shows that we love, then the wider they spread, the more people they can help. And the more energy that arrives for me every week, to be perfectly honest. And that energy, I pick up on it from you, and it helps me to answer your questions as they come into my thought process live in every show. So please like, love, share, and let me know how the shows resonate with yourself. All right, we will be back in just a couple of minutes, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, this is only going to apply really to those of you who are watching the TV version of this, but when I had my phone up and I showed the app for the Inspired Choices Network, you can scroll through that and you can actually find the summits that ICN, Inspired Choices Network Summit, and they are producing them, hosting them, and they are amazing. And it is the Inspired Choices Network, which is offering and hosting the Sparks of Hope Shooting for Success Summit on May 9th. And you can access like the past summits, the one I talked about a while ago that I was on Take Action Now. So there's so much in that little app. It's really cool. All right. So now back to resistance. One of the things I want to say before I forget, I thought of it during the break, was the more we stay in that energy of resistance, it actually erodes away at ourselves. When we latch on to a belief so firmly, Or we're in that place of the energies of fear, numbness, anxiety, stress, something avoidance, those energies. What happens is over time, it erodes your self-confidence, your self-belief. It just starts to fade. The doubts that you have, they start to multiply. And as a result, you end up setting up more and more limitations in your life. These are not the gifts that I'm referring to in resistance, but these are the results of maintaining that space and not looking at it. You may resist something thinking you're giving yourself some protection from something. Everyone's going skydiving and you're like, no, I can't. And the reasons are, well, it's way too expensive. So, I just don't have it in my budget right now. A lot of people talking about budget these days, and they're like, yeah, that's okay. I get it. So it may be expensive. It may be a push for you. May not. You may have ample money to spend on that. But you've given a more sort of sociably acceptable reason as to why you are resisting going. Is it that you don't want to acknowledge that you are afraid of heights, or afraid to fly, to go into an airplane, afraid to die, whatever it might be? But not acknowledging why you won't go skydiving is actually harmful to you. It really is. There is nothing to worry about, truly nothing to worry about, when you understand the reasons behind resisting something. If you can approach it from the place of truly wanting to know because you wish to help yourself, then anything that comes forward, you can deal with. You can look at, you can deal with, you can change, or you can leave it exactly where it is. And that's okay. The benefit is now that you understand more thoroughly and more clearly why you are resisting something. Resisting out of habit gets you no further ahead. It just actually pulls you backwards. As I said, your self-image starts to decline. Your doubts start to increase. You put more limitations around yourself. Like, it is not a situation that is a win-win. It truly isn't. So when you recognize that you've got doubts or you are resisting something, okay, what are we going to do about that? So number one, great. You just recognized that you are resisting something that perhaps in the past has been totally on autopilot. So fabulous first step. Second step, ask yourself a question. And you can use the word truth in front of it, so will be a little easier for you to gain some information. Okay, so truth. What is the reason I am resisting this? Truth. What am I resisting that I feel could be harmful, detrimental, whatever the word might be? Looking at it from this perspective, allowing that honesty and that vulnerability to come forward, now you are unwrapping this box. You are unwrapping your gift. We need to pause and look within. You are not going to find the answer as to why you are resisting something by looking outward. You may go, yeah, I've done that before. It worked. No, what you saw was just something that helped to support your belief system. It wasn't the truth of what's underneath. You just got information to support a belief. And it felt good. It felt accurate. So you buy into it, but it's not the truth. It's not the truth that's underneath. It's just the truth you've bought into. So you've got to pause. You really need to ask some questions. You may need assistance with this. You may need to work with a coach or somebody who deals with, perhaps it's going to be trauma or specific fears or whatever, but you may need some help, and that's okay. Reach out, get it. Don't resist it. How many of you are resisting working with somebody for reasons beyond budget? That's the one that we use a lot. Are you resisting working with someone because maybe you don't really want to know the truth? That's valid. Now look deeper. What is it that you are afraid that you might actually uncover or learn about yourself that in that moment you don't feel you can handle? But what if you could? And you keep going layer by layer down, wrapping paper layer by wrapping paper layer coming off. We will feel some element for many people. There's this sort of danger, this deep judgment, some will feel like you actually could be even ostracized if you actually went to the core of this, of why you're resisting something. Those are heavy. Those are words that carry energy that do not necessarily draw you into them easily and readily. But remember, it's just energy. Every word, everything, every feeling, it's energy. And you can change the energy and how you look at the energy and how you work with the energy all the time. All the time. Are you willing or are you resisting? You may feel like you're protecting yourself, and that is the common perception and belief pattern that people have. In this belief of protecting you, so you are resisting something, you're setting those limitations in place. You're not allowing yourself to heal. You're not loving you to the way you could. You are not extending kindness to yourself in a way that you could. You see, it really is unkind to keep ourselves in these boxes of limitations, and that's all resistance is. Me resisting creating this program for all of you for the summit, that was just me being in a box for a while, allowing myself to be in my own head. I was giving myself permission to be a perfectionist. I was giving myself permission to put on a hat that had doubt spelled across it, until I took it off, until I understood, oh, this is what I'm doing. When you're resisting something, you can't see beyond it. You can't see how life will be after you get past it. You're unable to see that gift that is there in the future waiting for you. The joy that could happen, the adventures you could have, the fun that might be there, that healing inside you, and what a gift that will be. And who knows how that's going to translate out into your world and into the world at large. The gift may not be what you think it will be, but I am very confident in telling you that this gift, if you stay working with it in the long run, it will be a gift that is beyond your imagination in this moment. To change is the cornerstone of healing. You are unable to heal without changing something. Otherwise, you stay status quo. Everything stays the same. Even if you just got a cold, your body changes something within it to no longer have the cold. So some of these things are done automatic with our body, but you may also support it and change what you are taking so that the cold can heal. Same thing if it's in your thoughts or in your body. Change is the cornerstone of healing. So if you are resisting change, you are resisting healing, however that's going to look for you. And you can say it the other way. If you're resisting healing, it's because you're resisting change. I'm going to leave that with you. You ponder that for just a moment or two while we go to our third and final break. We're here together on the Inspired Choices Network. I am Karen Leslie, your host here today on Cultivating Kindness with Karen, as I am every Wednesday, and I am thrilled that you are here with me. We will be back in just a moment. In the meantime, truly think about that. Are you resisting healing, which means you're resisting change? Or do you resist change, which results in you resisting healing? Interesting. All right, everybody, we'll be back just in a couple of moments. Thank you.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay, everyone, let's see if we can wrap all this up here. We've only got a short period of time here. The last little segment goes so fast. All right, so I have it in the chat room. It's saying, "Can you say that again?" And I'm going, maybe. When information just kind of flows through, I don't always remember it exactly. So what I was saying was, change is the cornerstone of healing. So when you are resisting change, you are resisting healing in some area of your life or your body. And the same thing goes, that if you are resisting healing, then you are also resisting change, because healing cannot happen without something changing. I hope that makes sense. All right. This whole idea of unwrapping this gift that's inside our resistance, it can be deep work. No question about it. I mean, just think of that sentence that I just said. Change is the cornerstone for healing. So if you want to heal this natural ability that you're very comfortable with in being in the energy of resistance, something needs to change. And that something is your thought process. Recognizing that you are resisting something. Remember, that's step one. That's really important. Then you need to pause. You've got to look at this and ask some questions. What are you truly resisting? It will not be the first thought that comes to your mind. It may be an indication, it may be part of it, but it's not a one and done. There's more to it. If you are in a space of doubt or fear, and those are a couple of the emotions behind why you're resisting something, then just recognizing that you are fearful of something, like take the skydiving as an example that we spoke about earlier. So knowing that you are fearful of getting in an airplane, that's only part of it. What is causing the fear of the plane? What is causing the fear of getting into a plane? There's more information there for you. The more you are willing to look at it, to get the truth behind it, the more you will be able to look at what you are resisting and go, I don't need to resist that. And resistance can become a distant way of being. You can let it go. And then when that energy comes and that feeling in your body surfaces and you go, oh, I remember this. And then you can check in and go, oh, yeah, what am I resisting? Not necessary. And each time you work with unwrapping this gift and you accept what the gift is, it becomes easier for you to do it in another area of your life. And then it gets even easier. It really does. You start to build your confidence and your trust in you. You start to understand who you are with more clarity. And the clearer we understand our way of thinking and what we're doing, then the more freedom we have. The more we can look at, what would I like to change? Maybe I really would like to do that. And to be okay with that. To know you can change your mind. You can change that belief pattern. And that's all right. And nobody else needs to agree with you. Often what we resist is a result of opinions and beliefs from other people because they're resisting it. So if they resist it and they teach you to resist it, now all of a sudden it's something you resist. And it wasn't even your choice. You were given that idea to resist this particular thought, action, activity, person, whatever it might be. What is underneath it? The answer to that is your gift. And yes, it is a great gift. You may not think so in that moment, so that's when you get help. That's when you get assistance. That's when you get someone to work with you, support you energetically, as I do, with mindset work as I do, or you can choose others to work with you. But as long as we keep ourselves okay with resisting things and we add more things that we're okay resisting into our life, the smaller our world gets, the less we actually think of ourselves, the greater our doubts and fears and anxieties will come forward because the world is always changing. And if we're unwilling to be a part of that, then we are going to become more and more uncomfortable and become more and more in that energy of resistance. All right. I'm going to get to what our show is next week in just a moment. I just realized the date, April 24, 2024, just flew into my thought process here. So when we add all those numbers up, and I do love numerology, we get a 9. So today, if you're watching live today or a replay later on this date, we are an energy of a day 9 energy. And that's really cool because the 9 is like letting things go, letting things come to a close, to finishing and ending. And tomorrow, a 1 is starting something new, inviting in new. So what are you going to let go of today? What are you going to be willing to stop resisting so that you can create a change tomorrow, which will bring you healing and vitality and a new way of being? Okay, next week, we have a show called Feng Shui Your Thoughts. I think it'll be a lot of fun. You don't need to know anything about Feng Shui to come and join in and still gain all kinds of interesting perspectives and things to do with working with your thoughts. But yeah, Feng Shui Your Thoughts. And I really love Feng Shui. It is something that I work with. And I hope that you will be joining me next week on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. It's been a pleasure, just a pleasure to be here with you. And I really hope that you have
Thank you for listening to Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Karen Leslie returns Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can find Karen at KarenLeslie.ca and follow her on social media. Until next Wednesday, Karen is sending you waves of kindness for a fabulous week. Remember, it's only you who has the power to be and receive the kindness required to change your life.